Welcome back to Capital Sins. I'm your host, Mel. Today's story is not just disturbing, it's shocking. A powerful mother, a promising daughter, a sprawling estate in one of Virginia's wealthiest suburbs, and a murder staged to look like a suicide. This is the story of Pamela and Helen Hargan, a mother and daughter whose lives were cut short inside of their McLean, Virginia home, but whose killer thought that they could outsmart everyone. Pamela Denise Hanson Hargan was a powerhouse. At 63, she had spent decades climbing the corporate ladder, most notably at Lockheed Martin. She had built an estate worth 8 figures and raised 3 daughters, Megan, Ashley, and the youngest, Helen. Pam and her husband Steve Hargan divorced in 1999. Pam took the girls and eventually settled in McLean, Virginia, a place known for its wealth and power. Helen, the baby of the family, was brilliant, double majoring in math and management science at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. While in school, she worked as a waitress and began dating an older man named Carlos Gutierrez. By spring 2017, Helen had moved back home to Virginia. Pam was building her a house nearby, a fresh start, but things quickly took a dark turn. On July 14, 2017, Carlos, Helen's boyfriend, called Fairfax County Police from Texas. He was worried. He hadn't heard from Helen since their early morning phone call. But then a second call came in, and this time, Carlos said something that would change the course of the investigation. He said his girlfriend told him her sister killed her mom. Police arrived at the Hargan home in McLean around 3 p.m. Pam was found dead in the mudroom, a blanket and a dog bed covering her body. She'd been shot twice in the head. Upstairs, Helen's body was found slumped in a bathroom, a rifle positioned between her legs, barrel pointed upward. At first glance, it appeared to be a murder-suicide. The home showed no signs of a struggle, but something felt off. Pam's phone was oddly placed, clean, and untouched, sitting on top of a pool of blood. Helen's face was covered in blood, but curiously, the rifle had almost none. No fingerprints were found on the weapon, not even Helen's. DNA on the trigger, it belonged to someone else. The only place Helen's DNA was found, the tip of the rifle case. Meanwhile, Megan's DNA was found on the handles of that case. And Helen's phone, used that morning to talk and text with Carlos, wiped clean. No fingerprints, no smudges, nothing. Detectives started digging. In an old family photo album, they discovered something curious. Tucked among the pictures were bank statements, account information, and spreadsheets detailing Pam's financial passwords. They took photos of the documents, but when they came back days later with a search warrant, the documents were gone. Then came the autopsy report, and it shattered the murder-suicide theory. Helen's gunshot wound was on the top of her head. The bullet traveled downward into her neck. Physically impossible for her to have shot herself that way, especially with that kind of rifle. 2 days later, after the murders, Capital One contacted police. Someone claiming to be Pam had called the day before the murders, attempting to transfer over $400,000 to a real estate company in West Virginia. When the transfer didn't go through, they called again the morning of the murders. Detectives confronted Megan. At first, she insisted her mother had made the calls, but after detectives played the actual recordings, she admitted she had made the calls. Still, she denied having anything to do with the murders. Megan said she had left the house around 1:30 p.m. while Pam and Helen were arguing, allegedly about Helen's boyfriend moving into the house. Megan agreed to take a polygraph. She failed 3 times. She told detectives, "Just blame me." but police weren't ready to make an arrest yet. Meanwhile, Meghan didn't get Pam's money, but she did go on to buy a house in West Virginia using a VA loan with her husband and daughter. And then a critical piece of evidence came back. Gunshot residue was found on both of Meghan's hands. After months of investigation, the evidence was overwhelming. No prints on the murder weapon. DNA pointing away from Helen. Phone wiped clean. A $400,000 wire transfer attempt in Pam's name. And residue from the murder weapon on Meghan's hands. On November 9, 2018, Meghan Hargan was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. She pleaded not guilty, insisting that Helen had shot and killed their mother before turning the gun on herself. After weeks of testimony, the jury found Meghan guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder. But in a stunning twist, the judge threw out the verdict after it was discovered that a juror had done outside research during deliberations. Jury misconduct meant the conviction couldn't stand. Meghan was retried in September 2023. This time, the jury again found her guilty of murdering both her mother and sister. In 2024, Meghan Hargan was sentenced to life in prison. A mother who spent her life building a legacy, a daughter with a bright future ahead, both gone because of greed and betrayal from within their own family, and a sister who thought she could get away with it. Thanks for listening to Capital Sins. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and stay curious.